Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be recapping more of the return of the disaster class hero. And yeah, hopefully you guys all enjoy, and we're just going to get into it. So we start chapter 6 with Sungjae asking Jimin where he found Lee Geon at, and of course he doesn't actually know it's Lee Geon yet, but you know, we're just of course using his name. And he's like, okay, so you met him at the Demon Tower. And he's like, yeah. And then you also killed the Calamities with his bare hands all by himself. And he even defeated A-rank disciple. And Jimin's like, yeah, that's right. Very nervously, keep in mind. Sungjae is completely flipping out. He's like, you really think I'm gonna believe that even after he broke all the divine artifacts in the house? And Lee Geon's like, bro, I told you they were all fake. Sungjae then questions what divine cadre he's in, and he's like, do I need to even be in one? Then he's like, okay, so then which divine god do you follow? And Geon's like, myself, I'm not a part of those 12 morons. And then he's like, okay, what about your awakened class? I'm a production class, he says. So he was like, all right, now what is your name? And then he blatantly says, Lee Geon. Sungjae immediately, you see like this aura start surrounding him, and Jimin's like, yo, calm down. And then Sungjae's like, yo, you're trespassing in our house, you broke all of our divine artifacts, and then you tell me what your name is? He's like, how dare you pretend to be Lee Geon? Jimin's saying, yo, Sungjae, you need to calm down, we're inside this house. And Geon's like, yeah, bro, you're so cool, you're gonna burn their house down at this rate. Well, he also gets a pop-up saying that, you know, Sungjae's a part of the Gemini and he's a disciple of him. Geon then activates his skill called Gaze of God, and he sees the information about Sungjae, and he's a disciple of the Gemini. He's a A-rank awakened, and I guess his awakened name is the Punisher. Like, okay, buddy, who do you think you are? Geon's skill also allows him to see the possessed skills of the individual, and it's pretty cool. And he could also see the traits, and he could also see that he's a genius. I guess that's another trait of him, which his learning effect is 200% more than like your average person. And Geon's like, dang, using an A-rank summon at such a young age? He's like, yeah, he is a genius, and that trait ain't for nothing. So then we see Sungjae's summon start to like power up or do something, and Jimin's telling, you know, Geon, he's like, bro, you need to run away. Sungjae is an A-rank disciple of the Gemini, and he's apparently also a severe Lee Geon fanatic. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty ironic since you're standing right in front of him. He just told you his name, but you didn't believe him. Sungjae is completely about to lose it. He's telling Jimin, you need to get out of here if you do not want to die. And of course, Geon just speed blitz behind him. He's like, bro, you're gonna piss yourself at night before you can even play with fire this much. Geon is about to flick Sungjae, and Sungjae's questioning, how did he get behind me like that? And then he gets flicked. He gets completely sent flying. And he's like, bro, you are crazy. It's like, you planned on burning your whole house down? It's like, what's wrong with you? Jimin's like, hey, so he's not dead, right? And Geon's like, nah, he is totally fine. And then he looks over to see his body. He's like, so that means he's fine? He's like, nah, bro, that ain't fine. Geon then tells Jimin, hey, I'm gonna be heading to bed first, so when it's time to wake me up, just wake me up. And he enters the room, and he sees a whole bunch of just models and all other stuff of himself. And he's questioning, he's like, so what are these, Jimin? And he's like, bro, I told you Sungjae is a Lee Geon fanatic. Like, what do you not understand? Sungjae somehow is still awake. He's like, bro, don't you dare go inside. That room is filled with all of my Lee Geon collections, and it's valued more than his life, he says. And I'm like, okay. Geon completely just walks up to one of them, by the way, and he's like, yeah, let me at least take all their heads off so they don't make me uncomfortable. And he is completely about to lose it. Sungjae is literally getting pulled away by Jimin as Geon's taking off the heads. He's like, yeah, I'm not crazy, I'm Lee Geon. So then we switch over to this Tali's Cafe, is what it's called, and we see Hugo watching the news about, you know, the two Gemini disciples were humiliated and defeated. And of course Hugo's like, bro, yeah, this is definitely Geon, this is definitely what he's gonna do. And he's like, dang, this is the first thing I hear after coming back to Korea. So this waiter ends up coming up to Hugo, and she's like, hey man, take your order. But Hugo notices that it's not an actual waiter. He's like, Yang Wee, you better stop that BS and get out of here. And he's like, oh my, I can't believe you found out immediately. That's not fun. And he's like, hey, it's been a while since we last been in contact. Yang Wee was like, hey, so you also thought about Lee Geon since you're here in Korea? And you'll be like, it's in your best interest to tell me what you know. And Hugo's like, bro, this is why I hate you. You're such a pervert and you possess other people's bodies. Like, what is wrong with you? So I guess Yang Wei ended up like releasing this girl's body or something like that, and she finally snaps back. She's like, oh my god, what was I doing just now? And of course Hugo's like, dang, Yang Wei is pulling all these tricks again. It's like, I do not like this. And of course he's like, I need to find Geon before anyone else. So he's like, where the hell are you? We switch over to a marketplace and we see Jimin and Sungjae inside, and Jimin's like, hey, do you really think that person, you know, that's in our house now is Lee Geon? And he's like, bro, are you kidding me? He looks completely different. He was like, how you gonna believe a thug like him is the one who saved humanity? Jimin was like, bro, I saw him come out of the demon tower and he's super strong. But Sungjae's like, nah, bro, my father told me. You know who that is? It's Hugo. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot. And he's like, all right, man, let's just get out of here and pay. But suddenly someone screams, it's like, a thief, someone's stealing. Of course, Sungjae and Jimin heard it, but out of nowhere, that so-called thief is blitzing around. He ends up going through Jimin and Sungjae, which makes him tip over a little bit. And he's like, dang. It's like, who was that? Was that the Scorpio disciple? And he's like, he's using abilities to steal. It's like, at this rate, all the items in the store and the wallets are all gonna be gone. This robber, he's like, bro, these guys are all morons and not even a saint will be able to catch me. And he's like, since I got all this stuff, I got enough, so I'm gonna be leaving. And then out of nowhere, we see Lee Geon instantly give him a mean punch in the stomach. I don't even know if he gave him that punch. I think that dude just completely walked into his fist at this point, and he's like, it can't be. And of course, Jim is like, oh, hey, what you doing here? And he was like, hey, I just forgot to tell you, can you buy some chicken for me? Suddenly, this one bald dude, he's like, hey, that's pretty impressive. You caught a Scorpio disciple, and I know they're pretty hard to catch since they're so fast, but you feel like a regular disciple, so next time, just call the police. Of course, Lee Geon instantly thinks to himself, he's like, bro, who is this guy? Who does he think he is? But suddenly an earthquake starts to happen, and this robber dude, he's like, oh, an earthquake? How fortunate. I'll be running away during the entire confusion. And of course he just dips out. As the robber's running away, he's like, dang, I got caught because some strange dude, but luckily I got the chance to run away because of this earthquake. And then in front of him, he notices the ground about to break, and a ginormous calamity centipede comes out of the ground, and he's looking up like he's seeing God. He's like, why is the calamity in a green zone? The robber's like, man, I can't stay here and get caught again. So he starts running, and he's like, dang, not even these calamities are going to be able to keep up with me. And then suddenly, I don't know what calamity killed him, but a ginormous calamity just completely just ate him whole. And we see it's like, it looks like an insect almost, and like a mixed with a spider or something, I don't know. Suddenly, all these alerts start saying, hey guys, this is not a drill. A calamity has appeared within the market. All ordinary civilians, please evacuate. The appearance of a spider queen is now here, and this area is now a red zone. Everyone start running. And of course, they all do. Literally everyone starts dipping while insects, some of the insects are crawling on people, which, bro, I will freak out if insects start crawling on me. I cannot lie. Of course, the alert starts repeating itself, and we see this kid just standing right there crying. And of course, the Spider Queen is about to eat this dude. But luckily, we got Lee Geon coming through, and he gives the dude a mean punch. He's like, yo, kid, you better watch where you're going. He's like, are you all right, though? While holding up his hand. This kid is completely freaked out, so he runs away immediately, and he's like, well, at least he looks all right. But anyway, why are there so many calamities in this mart? Like, that makes no sense. And then he's like, well, it's been a while since I had to do a warm-up, so let's get to it. All right, so that was the end of chapter 6, and now we're jumping into chapter 7, and we see Yang Wei in his car, and he's like, say it again? There's been a report of a calamity that broke out in a market? Like, what's going on? Yang Wei's like, okay, hold up. Forget that. It's like, what calamity did you say it was? And the guy is like, yeah, so it's the Spider Queen. And he's like, oh, like he's getting flashbacks. He's like, bro, we failed to subjugate that last time, and we barely just managed to seal it. So how the hell did it escape? He's like, dang, it's definitely gonna be hard if I want to take this calamity on my own. All right, so we get some information about calamities, and humanity divided them into 6 different levels. So we got blue, which is a god's pure sanctuary, right? We got green, which is a safe zone. We got yellow, which is kind of cautions, like there could be and there couldn't be. We got orange, which is dangerous, like the period, it's just dangerous. And then we got red, where it's completely ruled by calamities. And of course, we got a black one, which is human extinction. It's just they're all dead pretty much. Yang Gui's like, yeah, so if the Spider Queen has already appeared, it's already a red zone, like plain and simple. And of course his driver, he's like, hey, what are we gonna do about the market? He's like, okay, well, we ain't gonna do nothing. Just let them all die. Just tell them to bury it. The driver's like, excuse me, what did you just say? But like Yang Gui's thinking to himself, he's like, nobody must know. It'll become a pain if word starts to spread about us failing to subjugate it. And he's like, okay, so again, like I said, say that all people there are dead and send disciples there to bury the entire building. So we switch to the building where all the calamities are, the market and everything, and we see them standing there. And this guy, this disciple, he's like, okay, you guys are all bugs. And then he uses his glacier prison, which freezes most of them. And he's like, dang, looking down on an S rank, I can't believe it. But of course, they're gonna break through, like it's pretty obvious. And he's like, dang, they broke through the ice magic so easily, what's going on? So of course we see Lee Geon, he's stepping in, he swooped in, and he's like, bro, move over, Snowflake. It's like, you ain't doing nothing against these guys. And of course this guy's like, whoa, when did he get here? And Lee Geon, we see him with like, it looks like soda cans, and he's like, you all trying to eat all these people, but you had nothing else to eat? What's up with that? So then he throws those soda cans, which it looks like it kills a good amount of them. We then see Geon coming in, slicing them with his own dagger, and he's like, bro, y'all just a mob, so y'all should just stay put. And we see Jimin and Sungjae, they're like, hey, yo. It's like, I can't believe it. Geon suddenly stops and he gets a message pop up saying, hey, you handled the calamity. You also gained Zodiac experience and your level has risen. And you also acquired a material for production. And he's like, materials? What are those for? Another pop-up tells him that he could produce new skills and divine artifacts with the production material. And he's like, oh, my production skills suddenly changed, so I'm gonna have to try it out later. He's like, considering my 50% physical ability penalty, he's like, his movements aren't too bad, but obviously they're gonna be a lot stronger when it was activated, you know what I mean? This S-rank disciple ends up looking at him. He's like, bro, that is impossible. I barely even managed to affect them with my S-rank magic, but he took care of them so easily. And he's like, where did a guy like him come from? We see Geon going up to Sungjae and he's like, hey, thanks for letting me borrow this. And Sungjae's confused. He's like, bro, when did you even take this? This S-rank disciple ends up being like, whoa, I think I remember this guy. And he's like, hey, no wonder why I had a bad feeling about you. You were the one that ambushed our disciples. Lee Geon, he's like, and then he's like, shut up, and punches this dude right in the face. He was like, how did you even find out? And he was like, how could I not? He's like, bro, look at the clothes and the badge you're wearing. That was the same thing that was on that disciple. And that badge or S-rank divine artifacts are only given to Gemini disciples. He's like, I bet that's the only reason why you're so unreasonably strong right now. It was because of that gift. He's like, huh? Since when was this here? He like looks at the pin and he's like, oh. And then he literally crushes it. He's like, oh yeah, this looks like crap. This S-rank disciple cannot believe it. And Geon tells him, he's like, dude, that's not a divine artifact. Those are just for cosmetics. Like, what are you talking about? And then he's like, dude, it's been 20 years and that witch is the same bully as she was. Suddenly, the Spider Queen starts screeching and we see Geon, Jimin, and Sungjae notice. And he's like, dang, as the Spider Queen starts running at all these civilians. The S-rank starts tweaking out. He's like, oh, it's the Spider Queen. And Yeon's like, bro, what are you talking about? This is gonna be light work. And he speed blitzes. He literally speed blitzes it. He's like, hey, Spider, can you just piss off already? And then gives it a mean punch with everyone looking around. They're like, whoa, that is insane. This S-rank dude, he is dumbfounded. He's like, bro, that is insane. He charged ahead at the Spider Queen without any divine artifacts. Suddenly, the disciple of the Gemini cadre ends up speaking to everyone with telepathy, and he's like, hey, it's like, this is a captain, so we're all gonna exit the building immediately. Keep this in mind, he's not talking to anyone else besides his own Gemini like cadre and everything and all the other disciples, so he's not talking to any of the civilians or anything like that. And he's telling them some Ares guys will be burying the building and Yang Gui's coming here personally, but we don't have any way to stop it since he was the one that failed to subjugate it last time. He's like, so that's why those guys are desperately trying to hide the truth, and it'll be troublesome if any dirt about them gets out. So all y'all need to get out of here and do something. Use the teleport skill, whatever you got to do. This S-rank, he was like, wait, what do you mean? You want just the two of us to get out? And he looks around, scanning the entire area. He's like, I see civilians, I see calamities, and I even see Geon fighting the Spider Queen. And the one captain, he's like, is there a problem? But this dude, he's like, no, no. He smiles so happily. He's like, there's not a single problem. That was the end of chapter 7, and now we get into chapter 8, and we see Sungjae. He's like, yo, that wouldn't even be enough if we begged for help, so what are you saying? Do you not see the chaos that's literally everywhere? He's like, you're pretty much just telling everyone to die. And of course, the S rank, he's like, yeah, I know, but think about it. If we say the Spider Queen appeared in the middle of the city, what will people think? And he's like, huh? S rank's telling him, he's like, hey, so listen, if everyone believes that we suck, the divine powers and all the strength will also be weakened. So humanity's devotion must be unshakable in order for us to receive the protection from the divine gods. And Sungjae is like, bro, just because of that, there ain't no way. The S rank's like, yeah, so I got a teleport that I rented and it could teleport 2 people at a time. Unfortunately, it's just me and you that could go, so I'm gonna have to take you out specifically. And Sungjae's like, yo, I cannot leave my friend behind. Besides, there are still a lot of people that aren't even evacuated yet. This S rank's getting really irritated. He's like, bro, why are you being stupid? Why are you pestering me in a situation like this? I have no plans to be burned alive just because I hesitate due to your incompetence. This guy starts to use his power and he's like, I also can't ignore the commands of our captain, so I'm gonna get rid of those burdens for you and don't worry about it. But Sungjae's like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. So he also starts powering up. The S rank starts walking up and he's like, yo, Sungjae, you're not thinking about fighting me, are you? Because me and you are on 2 different levels, so you need to stop being guilty and make the right choice. But suddenly, this guy gets smacked in the back. We then see Lee Geon and he's like, hey, yo, why are you guys still here? It's dangerous, so get outside quickly. Sungjae is like, hey, we can't leave because the exit is blocked by the calamities, but we'll either have to use a teleport or get rid of all the calamities. And besides that, there are also still many people that are injured here, but there's also Ares guys that are blocking us off. So the situation is a real pain. This S rank starts getting up out of nowhere and he's like, hey, how dare you trample over me? Keon's like, bro, what are you talking about? Didn't you just try to throw away the people to escape all by yourself? And of course, this guy doesn't like it. So he's like, shut up, you idiot. I'm gonna stay alive by myself. So I'm gonna escape right now. Just me. Suddenly, just before he was about to use the teleport, the Spider Queen ends up webbing him. And he's like, oh, nah. And then he gets grappled in and chewed up. So Gyeon's like, hey, you two, I'm gonna take care of this, and you guys need to take care of the injured people first so we can leave immediately. And they're both questioning like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, I'm gonna be done pretty soon, so don't worry about me. We switch to outside and we see the barrier that Ares' divine cadre ended up putting up. And then we see Yang Wei. He's like, hey, what's the situation looking like? And of course, one of his associates, he's like, hey, so the mark has been blocked off and we sealed the entire building. Yang's questioning why it's so slow, and he's like, huh, why does it feel like the seal isn't really working that properly? It feels like something is blocking it. Suddenly, some light and a burst of wind ends up making the entire barrier explode, and we see a whole snake coming out. And Yang Wei, he's like, whoa, what is that, a snake? While he see every civilian coming out. The Ares cadre are blocking off the people from leaving the area, and they're telling them, it's like, hey, save us, there's calamities still inside. And Yang Wei's like, huh, they killed the spiders? That's impossible. Who could have done that? He then ends up saying that he's gonna go in and check for himself, and he's like, it's not a problem, so all y'all just sit here and wait. And so he blitzes inside the building and he sees the Spider Queen completely lifeless, and he's like, oh my god, who could have done that? He notices the traces of the battle and he's like, does that mean someone really hunted the Spider Queen? And he's like, dang, this is getting bigger and bigger, but there's still some stuff I have to pay attention to. And then he gets this like odd feeling. Suddenly he ends up spotting Hugo Otters down below, and he's like, no way, why is Hugo here? Is he the culprit behind all of this? He was like, huh, actually thinking about that makes a little bit of sense. But suddenly Lee Geon was like, was your life really more bearable because I wasn't here? Really? Yang Wei is terrified. He looks like he's about to piss himself. And Geon's like, hey, what's wrong? You uncomfortable somewhere? We haven't seen each other in a while, so what's with your sour expression? Yang Wei ends up turning around with so much fear on his face. He's like, Lee Geon, that's you? All right, so that was the end of chapter 8, and yeah, that was pretty crazy. I cannot lie. The fact that he's like, whoa, he's tripping out. And Geon, he took care of the spider boss. I thought we would have seen a little bit more on, you know, but we didn't really get to see the whole fight, but it was still pretty cool. And I like the fact that Yang Wei is about to get exposed. He's about to probably get punched into the ground, potentially no longer existing. But that being said, hopefully you guys all enjoyed. If you guys want more, leave a comment down below and like the video if you enjoyed it. It means a lot to me and I really appreciate it. But hopefully you guys all have a blessed day. Be safe out there and peace out.